We want to shop
So-
locally,
That's
Nori.
later.
It's not critical who is appointed as the official member?
I don't think so. I
Okay,
think we
we're
can
gonna
just share
say,
it.
we're gonna say Landis with Roden as the alternate. EDFC, are you currently on that, and do you want to continue, Councilmember Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Thomas and Mary Ann Landis, you were interested in economic development. That is the title of that commission?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the one with Don Balak?
Yeah.
Yes,
City,
okay.
county leadership, I don't know if this is,
What the heck is that?
has met in a long time. Where did that
It's
come
on the
from?
sheet. Page 3 of the sheet. Next to the last page of the sheet in the.
Meetings are infrequent, and because they're infrequent, I volunteer for that.
Smoothly done.
It'll give me a reason to meet with John McCowan again, maybe. LAFCO,
Would this only be if we get a
City
seat?
Manager Chambers, have we heard anything about the Select Committee? And,
I have not, no.
okay, I think,
The one item I think I did here directed me back to Mr. McMichael on it, so I need to follow up with
okay,
that.
either you or I should call Mr. McMichael to find out about that. I think the issue there is, and maybe you know, David, the alternate member is from another city. So if our city rep can't attend, the alternate comes from a different city. Is that my understanding correct?
I'm not sure. It may be true, but I
John
don't know.
McCowan, do you know the answer to that question?
Yes. There are
Because
two.
you were the alternate. You were an
I was the city alternate, and the two city commissioners were Jerry Mello from Fort Bragg and Karen Oslin from Willits. Both of them have retired also. So currently, the two city seats and the city alternate seat are all up for appointment. And I think the city of Ukiah has a good argument for why it would be appropriate for a city of Ukiah representative to be one of the city representatives. But that will be decided by I believe that's the appointment that the city select committee
Yeah.
makes.
How often does LAFCO, has it been meeting?
LAFCO typically meets monthly.
And so if a person, if we had an appointment and the person couldn't make the meeting, we would not be represented at that
Well,
meeting?
you're not representing the interests of your city per se. You're representing the interests of cities.
This one?
That's the way it's set up. There's two from the county, two from the special districts, and one public member.
Okay. I hold it to be very critical, though, to try to plan one's own engagement calendar so that during this period of time that it's so critical that we not be absent if we get a seat.
And they typically meet the first Monday of the month.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Roden, can you handle that? Could you work your calendar around that?
I would certainly do that, yes.
Okay. Any objections to Councilmember Roden if we achieve a seat on LAFCO that she served? If not, we're moving on. Solid waste.
We've already got that,
We-
haven't we?
We already got that? Or that's
No,
something
no,
else?
this
That's
is different.
Solid Waste Subcommittee as needed.
Yeah,
What is that?
Well, there was,
that was the committee that was set up to, when solid waste systems was being sold and the new owners needed our approval. There was a due diligence period. The city spent probably 6 or 8 months going through that
With
process.
the problem with the economy and the recycling issue, the market for recycling, could that committee be needed maybe again?
It's possible, certainly possible.
Okay. I would recommend that Doug
There's no
Crane-
issue right now. There's nothing pending that I know of.
I would recommend that Doug Crane and Mary Ann Landis serve on that committee as needed. Is that okay?
It convenes whenever it wants to?
If there's a problem with the contract,
Issue-driven.
Okay.
Right. If they need council approval for something, they would generally work with the subcommittee for the subcommittee to formulate a recommendation to the city council.
Okay.
okay. Any comments on the ad hoc committees that were set up as part of strategic planning? I believe they're sort of the result of strategic planning. Any commentary there?
Well, just a clarification that, I think when we talked about this last time, we said that Councilmember Crane and I would still be
Right.
the ones.
I'm not going to say no, but I'm kind of curious why you are interested in continuing in that realm. Both of you.
Well, I think it's come to a natural conclusion, the actual process, because we've created these ad hoc committees, like the financial policies, the capital improvements, and there were a couple more that were, natural outgrowths of the work we did.
Well, what is the strategic planning
So, and I don't,
group
that's,
going to
well,
do?
this is what I'm getting at. I wanted to clarify with you if that was one of the ad hoc, one of the 4, I think, that you had suggested. But that if we ever felt, maybe if any of the council members or Doug and I felt that we wanted to go back and do some facilitated strategic planning, or we needed to, any issues related to the overall process of strategic planning, I thought that there ought to remain a subcommittee that, we wouldn't meet regularly, but if it came up, that we would work on that.
Work on,
We would maybe talk to Steve Zweiback again, discuss what we might want to do. But anyway, I don't, does that answer your question?
well, I'm still curious, but I can deal with it.
I'd like to address it a minute. We initially were trying to aim toward that 5th Wednesday meeting, and I think they occurred 3 or 4 times a year. And I would appreciate it if the 2 council members, Roden and Crane, wanted to work with me to plan those sessions, then that would be great. I currently have no one to work with to plan those sessions. So I think we do want to continue with those individual sessions.
Excuse me, if they're open-ended sessions, why do they need planning?
Well, I can touch base about if there are particular items that we want to bring up. If there's not, that's fine, or just the format, where we're going to do them, people we might want to invite to them, all of those kinds of things. Otherwise, it's just up to me to decide who we invite to them and where we hold them. And the council members may want to weigh in on that. They may feel like a need to discuss that, so.
So, Ms. Chambers, is the strategic planning ad hoc committee that is written down here, is that?
No,
It's different.
that was different. That was to carry on. There's 4 priorities, and that was the priority related to services and to interaction with staff. And
Okay.
I just named it that,
Yeah,
so
I
it's a
think
little
we should change the
confusing.
name, just to
That would be
eliminate
fine.
this confusion, so,
That'd be fine. So what you're really talking about is a 5th group
yeah.
consisting of the 2 of you that could work with me to plan, or if you don't need any planning, that's fine, but for what are we doing, or maybe when we want to hold those bigger picture strategic planning sessions. I don't know what we call them.
Everyone on the council, except for Mary Ann Landis, knows that I was the cynic, I was the skeptic
About strategic planning.
about strategic planning, and then I actually showed up at one, and I realized that it was very valuable, and it was close to being a love fest, if I remember correctly.
Never been
But-
to one, don't know.
There were drums, don't you remember?
It's never too late, Doug.
But the group that determines the agenda of the strategic planning carries, I mean, there's a little philosophical and visionary bias there when you create an agenda for a strategic planning session. So I think we all should have equal access to the vision of the strategic planning. That's what I'm saying. But I'll be happy if Doug and Mari continue there.
We could just call it planning group for now, and we'll rearrange these names.
Okay. So sales tax sharing, the previous ad hoc committee was Crane and Roden. The multiple municipal service review was Roden. You were
With John McCowan.
with John McCowan. Mary Ann Landis, would you be willing